Hi everyone, this is Jan, and I have a little rose painting here that I have started. And the first thing we want to do is put on a rose pattern. You can use any rose pattern that you want. I put it on with graphite, and I do that because I want to go ahead and paint over the top of my pattern. And if you use pencil, you can't really do that because it will smear everywhere. So the first thing that I did on this was I put a coat of Jann Art Extender Medium. Now this, you can hear it, it's a watery extender. Okay, so it's really loose. And I put that just in a cup here. And what I did was I just used a flat brush here. This is like a 1 inch. And I just dipped it in this medium. And I first put a clear coat of this medium over the whole canvas. Okay. Now I did that so that it would wet it, so that I could go ahead and put in some white and little blue and a little black to make a light gray and blue. So I did that first. Then I came back with the white right here, and I took just the corner of my brush like that, just a little dab, and I put it in an area to make a gray color with the white and the gray. And then I just went back and I just base coated this in an X stroke on top of that wet medium. Now the extender will keep this wet, and you can tell it's wet because when you turn it and you see that shine, that means that the canvas is wet with the medium, and that's what you want. It kind of works like the Bob Ross Magic White, and that's why I use it, because I want my canvas wet whenever I'm coming back to add all these pretty colors on top, and it will soften them enough where you can just work them right in your canvas and go right over your pattern. That's what's nice about the graphite, is you can go right over your pattern and it'll still be there. It's not going to take it off. You're kind of like stuck with it, unless you want to put a really deep color on there and cover it up. But I can still see everything, and that's what I want. And I like to have my brush strokes showing like that, just different directions. Let me hold on to this. I've got my canvas turned. And you can go ahead and put different colors in the corners. I like to kind of have the corners deepened a little bit so that it focuses into the center. I've got a little more blue up here. Let's add a little more blue up here in this top corner. And it makes it so much easier when you're trying to blend these acrylics to have an extender on there. Now some people use water also. They'll wet their canvas with your dry canvas with some water and then come back and put in your background too. You can do it either way. But I wanted this to remain wet because I want to come back and add some foliage. And for that foliage, I want it wet also. I have a little bit of time to come back in with greens and do, or grays, and do some shadow foliage on here because it's still wet, and that's the reason I'm using the extender. Now the paints I'm using is the Jann Art. This one is titanium white, and they're called the Heritage Multimedia Paints. And they're acrylic. Excellent paints, lots of pigment. They're not like a bottle acrylic. They're a lot more pigmented in them than your bottle acrylic. Okay, they work more like oil paint, but they're not. They're acrylic. Okay, so I have that on there. Now the next thing that I want to do is come in with a brush, and I will go ahead and put in some shadow background leaves for our foliage. Alright, we're back, and the next thing that I'm doing is adding some ghost foliage, and I call it that because it's real light in the backdrop. These are not the main leaves, these are just shadow leaves. Okay, and the color that I'm using is, it's white, it's a little bit of green, dark green, and a little bit of black, okay, and a little bit of blue right here. And you come up with kind of a, I guess a foam green, kind of a light green that I'm using, and I am using a 4 filbert, and I'm also using a little bit of the extender that we used earlier, and I put that in this little container area right here. Now, background is still wet. See how shiny? Yeah, you want to make sure that it's still wet. Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit right here, and you need to kind of sturdy your hand right here, and I want a couple of vines there, and then start at the top and just come right on down, top, side, 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 side. Do it messy. Don't get into perfect stroking on any of these little paintings that I do. Okay, now you might have, if you have too much medium on your backdrop, a lot of times the backdrop will sometimes almost disappear on you. And that's okay. You can come back and go ahead and put it back on. I like that look because then it looks like you have more vines just fading in the background. Okay, I'm reloading both sides of that brush. See, and I can come back and I can reestablish some of those. You will have that happen to you if you have enough medium on the back. And what's nice is it's still wet for me. As I'm turning the brush, as I'm doing a leaf stroke, I'm turning this brush ever so slightly different directions. I'm not staying in one direction. That's what makes all this foliage look so real. See all the interest? Now I don't know how well you can see this because it is light. But when someone looks at your painting, it's going to look great because you have all this interest, and you can put some little vines in there too. You know, because sometimes these vines are going to disappear too because you have a wet background. So we can reestablish some of those vines, stems. Back here. What if we put a little blue up there? Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Just a little blue color. This blue's a beautiful color that they have. There's that little blue over here too. Yeah, isn't that pretty? I love the blue in there. Okay. It kind of got lost. You know, like I say, when it's wet like this, and it starts to dry, some of your colors can get a little lost. Now, I like that blue. I'm going to put some of that blue elsewhere. So I'm just going to quickly add a little blue here and there. This is a phthalo blue, in case you want to know. All right. I just want a little more blue to stand out in a few other little places here, okay? I think it's a beautiful color, that blue. Okay, so now we have more blue standing out in these different places. Love it. All right, let's go ahead and piddle with this as much as you want to, and when we come back, I'm going to start on some of these leaves here, and we'll start building our painting forward. Okay, I could even add some blue in here. It's hard to quit. You start working on it, and you just see all these beautiful colors, and you want to put them here and there and everywhere. Okay, I'm going to quit. All right, I'll see you back whenever we do the leaves. Now we're going to put in some simple little up and back leaves. Nothing real hard. And I have some of the dark green here. And I'm just using the dark green. And I have a little bit of blue here, phthalo blue, and a little bit of white. I double loaded this filbert again. The back is still wet, and we're just gonna put in some of these leaves right here. Let's see, can you see those? Yeah. Okay, start at the back, pull up to the front with a point, come right back down on the other side. And then you can go ahead and put in your little vine there, your little stem. Turn your work. Okay, let's see if I can put this up a little further for you. Okay, touch, pull up, start at the back again if you want to, and then come back up. So it is just up and back. Okay. This one here, okay, I want, let's see, let's go this way. Start at the back, come to the front, and then start at the back, come to the front, and put your little vein in. Okay, now those are real simple. You might want to come here, and you might want to put in some little ones like this. Like that, just a little stem off of it, just to kind of break it up a little bit, so it's not all the same. Okay, and we might have another stem come out here with some little green doodahs on it. Okay, and then that'll break that one up, and you can come back and pull off some other little stems. Now I'm going to go this direction. It's easier for me to go this direction. Just some little stems coming out here. And do a little line reload so that we have, but I add some little green in here so it looks like there's some little leaves back in here, okay, in between the flowers. There we go. That'll kind of add a different color back in there. And let's see, it just adds another layer. Now this is still wet back here. Okay, we're still wet back here. And that's what makes it really nice, is we're still wet. So everything is going to be really, really soft. Okay? And that's what I want. Now, once we get everything like we want it, then we can go ahead and come back and let it dry. Okay? Let's add a little bit of greenery out here, so right on top of those shadow leaves here. A little more green out in here. That way our eye doesn't go to 4 different places here. Just 4. We're extending that green a little further out. Same color, so that it blends with everything in our painting, but we still have our shadow leaves are still showing behind there, but everything isn't just going to this center. Alright, go ahead and get all your leaves in there as much as you want, and then the next thing we're going to do some roses. Okay, everyone, we are back, and I have changed this painting a little bit differently. What I did was, after I got my background foliage on, I went ahead and came back with some white mixed with our extender medium, and I went ahead and put a coat of white on, a thinner coat with the white, and did a glaze over the whole thing, because what this did was just soften down our backdrop here that we put in. Now I went around the leaves because I wanted to leave those leaves in there. So I went around the leaves, but what I did was I covered everything else up in a light glaze of white. And that just diffused them to where it set them back in the background. And you can see right here, see, they're all still in there. All the foliage that we did, it's just, I went ahead and fused them down a little bit because I changed my mind on what I wanted to do. So then after I did that, then I went ahead and came back in. Remember the blues that I put in with the phthalo blue and a little bit of white? I started coming back in here, and I thought, you know, I'd like to do some little hydrangeas in here because I really like that blue color. So that's what I did. I went ahead and put in some hydrangeas in the areas where I had some blue, and I really love that color. So the next thing I did, you can see I went ahead and finished them out, and I just added, they're just little filbert strokes with little petals on them. That's all I did to it. And then this morning, everything was dry. I let everything dry, and then when I came back in this morning, I went ahead and put a thin coat of the extender. Remember, it's really loose, on my sponge, and I have it in a little cup here. See the little, it's just a lid from something, and I dipped the end of the sponge in that just a little bit, and then I went ahead and I just used circles, and I just went ahead and applied a thin coat of this to my canvas. My canvas was dry, but when I start working on the canvas, I want the canvas wet so that it's like you're working in oils, or it would be the same thing as a Bob Ross clear medium. Whenever he goes back on a dry canvas that has acrylic on it, he always puts a thin coat of the clear medium. Well, this would be the same idea. It's a clear extender because we're in acrylics. And as you can see how shiny it is? Okay, and I use the sponge because I don't I don't want it real thick. I want a thin coat, but I want it to be shiny all over, because I want just a light coat. Then I mixed up, we have a little bit of phthalo blue, a touch of black and white, and I have with some extender in it, and I just want to deepen some of the back area of these hydrangeas. You know, like this. I just want a darker blue on the bottom part of these hydrangeas, just so we have another color on there that's a little deeper. But I wanted to get my medium on that, and if you have the medium on there, then when you do your stroke work on that, it just goes on so effortlessly. It's wonderful. You don't have any struggles with it. It's just nice and slick, and your strokes just glide like butter on it. And you can keep it thin. You don't have to paint it thick because you have a dry canvas. So anyway, that's the reason I'm doing this. It's allowing me to paint more like oils than having to use everything on dry canvas. So that's why I'm using this medium. So I've deepened some of those colors up, and what I want to do, I'm going to do sort of a little fall painting here, and we're going to do it in these powder blues or slate blues, and then we're going to have some salmon roses in it for fall colors. Okay, we're back, and the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start on our roses, and I have completed 3 of the roses here, and I'm going to show you how to do this 4th rose here. Now the next thing we need to do is go ahead and mix our colors for our roses, and I wanted salmon color, so I have like a cad red light here, some burnt sienna and yellow ochre, and I mixed up a dark tone. This is mostly with the red, some sienna in it, maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, and then mixed white into it, so that I got a dark. Here's dark, here's medium, here's light, here is a little bit lighter like a highlight, and this down here would be a petal color, the real light color, and that's mostly white with a little bit of one of these colors up here. Now the color here is your phthalo blue with a little bit of this color into it. I want a little bit of orangey color into it. And then all of these do have this extender mixed in them because I don't want them to dry. This is a disposable palette, so I want them to remain wet, and I mixed extender with them, and I just used a palette knife. I don't use my brush to mix my paints. It gets them all to where the paint goes up into the ferrule if you're not careful. I used a palette knife. This is a favorite palette knife. It's long enough, it bends. Make sure you get metal palette knives, not plastic, so that they have a bend to them, and then you can scoop up the paint and it will have a bend where you'll get everything off of the palette. Okay, so that's what I use to mix up my colors. I'm gonna set these over here, and what I'm gonna do next, this is still wet. Let's see here, there we go, see the shine on that? Okay, that's still wet. Now if for some reason it isn't still wet, what you can do is just take your brush. This one is a flat number 10. you can go ahead and put a little bit of medium on it, because by the time you get around to over here, some of that extender might be setting up on you, especially if you have fans on. I have a fan on. So, and then what I did was go ahead and outline my rose a little bit. Here, see, this is the back petals, and these are the bottom petals. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my color and I'm going to block in some of these colors. Okay, so I'm going to take some burnt sienna here, and I'm going to dab just the corner of my brush in my burnt sienna here. And I'm just going to apply this to the center part here. Okay, just apply it. I'm going to wipe my brush off on a paper towel over here. And then I'm going to choose my next color. I'm going to choose this darker color right here. And I'm going to dip into a little bit of medium, or extender, I'm sorry. Keep wanting to call it medium. And we're going to go ahead and paint some of these petals on. And that's why I outlined them, so we know where we're going here. Okay, just kind of fuse that together. These are going to be some of the back petals here. And then I'll go into a medium color here, and I'm dipping the corner of this brush in some extender. And we'll block in some of these petals down here, which are going to be a little bit lighter. Okay, I do not paint with thick paint here. I like a loose color and thickness of paint. Okay, so we have our different colors in here. I'm just going to fuse that. Now I would like to have a little bit of dark under here. Wipe my brush off, and I'm just going to fuse this back edge here, because I don't want any hard lines. Now you can also use your finger. Tap that. If you push too hard with your brush, you can use your finger to blend. David Jensen does that all the time. Okay, now I'm picking up a little light color here that I mixed up. I want that right in the front here. This light color to come around. That's the bowl. I want it really light there. Now we're going to mix this bowl here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, dip it in a little water to clean it, and just blot it on a paper towel. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to wipe out this color in the front. Just literally wipe it out. Okay? And I'm just going to soften the edge here. So we still have that bowl look. Okay, just going to leave it. And when we come back, it'll be real light when we put our other color on. Now the color I'm going to use for the petals when I'm starting those is going to be, let me move this, my deal is on my palette here. It's going to be this color here. Now you can see I've almost run out of that color, so I'm going to take some of this, move it over here, take some of this white, move it into there. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little extender so that it feels nice and smooth. Okay, load my brush with it. Alright, we're going to start our back petals back here. I'm going to pick this up a little bit. I'm going to start with these back here. And I'm using the overstroke that I like to use. Now, if you're not familiar with this overstroke, I have plenty of videos that will show you how to do this overstroke. I'm not doing anything any different on this painting than I do in my other paintings. Start in the center, touch and pull, and then come in and start doing your side petals. Now, I don't pull all the way down here. Remember, I just pull a little bit in to that petal. Alright, now work your way around. Start in the center. I like to start in the center there, and I go out past my drawn area there. And I like to do that because I like my, let me take a little of that paint off, get a little extender. I like my petals to be transparent. Now I've got quite a gap right here. That's an awful big petal, which I like the big petals, but it's an awful big gap. So let's make some more petals in here, okay, so that it doesn't seem so bare. And I'm dressing my brush with a little medium. Okay, we're going to make another petal here. You can put these petals anywhere you want to. Now, this is the front part right here. Let's go ahead and finish out this center part of this rose. I just make smaller little strokes going into the rose there. You can get a little more fancy with that if you want to. You know, up and around. Now when I get to this front here, I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I want to go into this lightest color here. Load both sides. And I'm going to touch right here. I'm going to touch, and I'm going to go up and come down. Up, come down. That will leave a little edge on that. Okay, up, come down. Now I'm curving it as I come down. So we're going to go up, curve down. Up, curve down. Oops, went too far there. Okay, just soften that down. Take your finger, take your brush. Okay, so let's load up a little more of the light color. Up, come down. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and do some more, another petal here. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I want that really light edge on there so that it shows up. I'm just going to go ahead and edge some of these on the front here so they'll show up. That got a little spacey right there. Now for this one, let's go okay. This one's going to be, it's going to be kind of closed up. This one here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's see. I need to come over here. Just a minute. Let's come over here. Let's add another petal right in here. There we go. Now that closes up that part right there. Of course, we have a little gap here, so let's close this up. Here we go. Now for your highlight for these, I'm going to add a little bit of this blue over here I made with a little bit of phthalo. And the lightest color, it's pretty much the same as your hydrangeas. And we're going to add little highlights of this blue, and you can just lightly touch your petals with some of this blue, and it will tie in everything. It really makes a difference on your petals. It ties everything in to whatever you have out here. Okay. Alright, I think we're done with that one. Okay, go ahead and get your roses done, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and just work on our leaves a little bit more. Okay, see you in a few. Now the last thing we want to do is go ahead and I'm going to redo my leaves because I want them in kind of sagey colors. Okay, so what I have done is on my palette here, I've mixed up some sagey greens. I have kind of like, this would be like a thicket if you have a folk art color. It's actually the pine green that is in the heritage colors. All of these are heritage colors. And then this is a phthalo green, which is a blue green. And I've mixed up a dark, a medium, and a light color. And then when I highlight it, if I need it lighter, it's not light enough, I go into some of these lighter tones here and go ahead and overstroke those leaves. You can also overstroke them with a little bit of some of that yellow ochre and white. So that's what I'm going to be using. Now the first thing I wanted to do is check to be sure that it's wet, and it is. You can, let's see here, you can see that it's still wet there. We're going to go into this little area right here, and I'm going to go into some straight pine green. I am using my 10 flat here, and I'm just going to pull out some of this pine green or thicket, whichever one you have. I'm going to add just the back corner of my brush into some of the extender, and I'm going to do this first leaf back here, this one right here. And what you want to do is you want to just make a stroke. Okay, so flat, pull up, and make a point like that. Alright, so you're going to do that first, and then I'm going to wipe my brush off. Then I'm going to go into one of these lighter greens here. I'm going to use a little bit of, make sure it has a little extender in it. And then I'm going to go on each side here. See, this is going to be the stem like that, and then I'm going to go each side here and pull into that green, just like we do the petal stroke here. So touch and pull. Make sure you touch that green that you put in there, okay? It makes it a lot nicer. Now if I need to go back into a little dark, I can do that. Pick up a little more dark. If I want to edge a little edge here with some of the dark, I can do that. Okay? If I want a little bit of yellow ochre or something to edge, come back and edge one of the edges with another color. Okay, just make sure you pull into the stroke that you put in the first time. Make sure you pull into that so that it covers it up and blends with it. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the pine green, and let's do a stroke going this way. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to pull that way. Okay, just a little leaf stroke, pull that way. I'm going to turn this, wipe my brush off, and I want a lighter color. So I might even want a little bit of this light peach color, because it's on top of that one. Okay, so if this is your vein, you're just going to touch and pull, touch and pull. This is the same stroke that we do on our roses, okay, whenever we do the petals. Now if you want a little bit of peach color in there, which would totally look wonderful, pick up some of your flower colors and add some of your flower colors in there. I could actually lighten that up just a little bit. Okay, so now you have a few peach tones. Now I have a few of them over here that I did. I'm going to add a little bit of peach tone in some of those. So we're going to come back. We're just going to edge some of those with some peach. Okay, wipe your brush off, reload. Don't want your brush to get too saturated with paint. Now remember, these are starting to set up. I can't see this petal from that leaf, so I'm just going to lighten it up a little bit on this side so that it will show up. I can go back into any of these colors here. That's what makes this leaf really unique, is because you can come back and restroke some of those petals. Now this here, I can't tell the difference on this leaf here. That's a back leaf, that's a front leaf, so I need to highlight one of these with, I think, a little bit of the peach color would be pretty. Okay, could even highlight it a little bit more, a little lighter. There we go. Okay, right, now we have another one right here, another petal that's in the front. You could actually highlight that with a little bit of the sage color, which I did highlight it at first, but it kind of got lost, so let's just re-highlight some of that. So now you can see those colors there. Now if you need to deepen it, come back and you can deepen a color. This leaf here should be really pretty dark, you know, because it's behind all those, so I can pick up a dark green like the pine green and come back and I can deepen that color with some pine green. Now another color you can use on this would be that pretty blue color. You know, the blue color that you used. You can come back with a little bit of that blue and you can highlight some of these little edges with some blue, just like what you did in your roses here. Now in the roses, I added a little bit, I came back and added a little bit of yellow ochre, which is a warm color. So I have some yellow ochre and I have some blue in here. So you have both warm color and a cool color in there. All right, so that helps with your colors. Okay, now what I will do, this is always crooked in the camera here, even though I got it at an angle. So that's what I would do with these. Now see, that was kind of dry. You know, if you get little areas that's kind of dry, just dip the back corner in a little bit of that medium, and then that will loosen up some of your paint for you. Now, if you want to do anything else to this, I kind of like the way it is. The only thing that I might do on this is go back, take my filbert, and come back with a little bit of this blue and white. Almost run out of my white here. And a little bit of extender. And you could deepen some of these hydrangeas that you have in here. You can come back and deepen some of these, and I think that's what I will do on some of this, is deepen some of the phthalo blue on there. I think it really looked nice to get a little more depth in that. See how much deeper that is, and deepen some of that, and then you'll see the finished picture whenever I show it on my YouTube channel. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the painting, so have fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.